In July 2022, a guy opened his PC to find out there is a ransomware asking him to give $300 to unencrypt his files. But how did this happen? He didn't download anything, he had an antivirus on, and what does this have to do with anti-cheats, especially kernel level ones? Well, first we have to talk about how anti-cheats work. So cheating can be as simple as injecting code into the game's data or into the game's code itself, so that will be easy for an anti-cheat to detect. It will see a malicious code and it will remove it. You can also use some kinds of cheats that read the game's memory and modifies it, like you get the player's position and your position, calculate the angle between you guys, and you can then see them on your screen. It's easy, simple. But this can also be blocked. But there are more cheats that depend on hardware itself. How can this be detected? It really can't. That's where kernel level anti-cheats come into play. So how do kernel level anti-cheat systems actually work? Well, the key term here is kernel level. Think of your computer as a building. The kernel is like the foundation of it. It's the core part of your operating systems that manages everything. It has the highest privilege. It's also called rank 0, which means it can access all of your critical resources on your system. It can access your operating system, it can access your hardware, it can access anything you have on your computer. But before we dive deeper into the kernel, let's talk about what exists before it. Most programs you interact with, including games and applications, operate in user mode, also known as rank 3. In this mode, they're restricted from directly accessing hardware or sensitive parts in your system. This helps keep things safe, because any crashes or bugs in user mode are contained. Unlike the kernel level, one wrong thing and it could crash your whole operating system. The main difference is that user mode is where you run regular apps, and kernel mode is where you run your operating system and crucial devices. Anti-cheats like Vanguard and BattleEye maybe operate directly at this kernel level, giving them access to your system's memory, processes, input and output operations, and they can use your keyboard, they can see what you've typed, enabling them to catch more sophisticated cheats that manipulate the game at deeper and deeper levels. But this can also mean that they are spying on you. Are they? We're gonna find out soon. Now this brings us back to the guy who found a ransomware on his computer. An anti-cheat driver which comes with Genshin Impact. MHY brought 2.sys driver. Poor implementation of input and output controls in this driver allowed unauthorized access to the kernel memory, which means hackers could execute malicious code without even being detected. They exploited the flow, and the hacker can bypass security mechanisms. They can gain access to sensitive area of the system, including the kernel. They can now disable security features like your antivirus. They can disable it completely, leaving your system wide open. That's how you got the ransomware without even doing anything. But this means it's dangerous to have a driver run at kernel mode like an anti-cheat, for example. Why drivers even needed? They control everything. They control your hardware, they make it work. But how come everyone who's making malicious code not just making their own driver and going infecting everybody? To make a kernel mode driver and you want it to work amongst all people, for any kernel mode driver to work on any modern version of Windows, it needs to be signed by Microsoft. What do you mean by signing? I mean, you create the driver, you then send them to Microsoft on your paid Microsoft developer account, and they review the code and sign it. If it doesn't have any problems, they sign it, and there you go, you can use it now. This signature certifies that the driver is legitimate and safe to be installed on your machine. However, attackers have found ways to exploit these systems. So how do hackers bypass these powerful anti-cheat systems? One of the methods is code signing abuse. Hackers either find ways to obtain legitimate certificates or compromise the signing process. Once they have signed the driver, they can effectively bypass all of the antivirus and distribute malware like they want. They can even get legitimate drivers that are on your PC and exploit the vulnerabilities in them. But are kernel level cheats actually spying on you? Since these systems have the highest level of access, theoretically they could monitor anything on your computer, your private files, your browsing activities, you know what I mean, and more. While most companies claim they only access necessary data to prevent cheating, the fact remains that you are giving them the key to your system in the house, and you're inviting them in, and you're also giving them a key. They can go anywhere, they can do anything. As an example, Riot's Vanguard is used in Valorant. It's a kernel level anti-cheat that runs constantly. You don't have to have the game open for it to run. It boots with your system. It starts as the window starts. This has led to concerns being spreaded about what it's doing in the background. Riot has repeatedly stated that the Vanguard only collects data related to cheating, but the fact that it operates at rank 0 means it could access anything. This type of system isn't exclusive to Vanguard. BattleEye is also used in games like PUBG, and Rainbow Six Siege also runs at the kernel level. So why do developers even go to such extremes? Well, cheating is a multi-millionaire industry. Games that implement anti-cheats like this are trying to protect their players from a toxic environment where cheaters can ruin the game. But here's the trade-off. While it may stop cheaters, these systems also increase the attack surface of your machine. Vulnerabilities like those found in MHYBROT2.sys show how dangerous it can be. So, where does it leave us? Are kernel level anti-cheats worth the risk? On one hand, they are a powerful weapon to fight against cheaters, but on the other, they expose you to serious vulnerabilities that could be exploited. The questions you need to ask yourself is, how much do you trust these developers with your system? Because in the end, you're giving them full control. Also, these videos take a really long time to make, so I would love it if you subscribed. And if you can help me grow on YouTube by donating to me in the link in the description, and thank you. And also, if you wonder how cheating games works, watch this video, you will like it.